While we all think of boxing to be the noble sport, it seems that a lot of the time the anticipation and heat of a fight can lead to fighters making some less than respectful choices. From fighting at the weigh-in, showboating mid-fight, and even threatening to eat an opponent's children. These are 10 times boxers disrespected their opponents. At number 10, we witnessed a moment that, well, was very cringeworthy. In February of 2019, Teofimo Lopez Jr. took on world title challenger Diego Magdaleno. The much-anticipated fight saw an explosive 8 rounds of action, but let's just say it seemed that Teofimo ended up making the headlines for all the wrong reasons. After knocking out his opponent in the 8th round, rather than taking a breather and collecting himself, Teofimo instead decided that busting into a Fortnite dance was a more appropriate way to celebrate his victory. While dancing over your opponent might be a well-known sight in Tilted Towers, it is definitely best left out of the ring. He also followed it up by doing a backflip. With Lopez's team hastily trying to usher him out of the way, Teofimo instead decided that climbing the ropes and hollering to the crowd was more his style as Magdaleno tried to climb back to his feet. Fortnite dancing over your opponent is definitely one of the most disrespectful things a boxer can do to their opponent. At least we can be thankful he didn't teabag him. From a childish Fortnite dance to a childish human being. Coming in at number 9 is Jake Paul. Yes, I cannot believe I'm talking about this guy either. Anyways, Jake's older brother, Logan Paul, had an upcoming fight in 2021 with a well-known 44-year-old that goes by the name of Floyd Mayweather Jr. And it's fair to say that the tensions were flying high once the press conference had concluded. While dirty words are often overlooked and expected, letting it go much further than that is usually not looked on favorably by either side. The YouTube brothers aren't often far from the headlines, usually for less than positive reasons, but Jake Paul decided that attempting to wind up his brother's opponent would be a good idea. Jake was exchanging words with Floyd when he decided to steal the baseball cap off of Mayweather's not-so-bald head. Cheerfully shouting, "Gotcha, hat!" immediately, the area erupted into a brawl, with Mayweather managing to land a few choice hits on the so-called problem child. Security from both teams intervened and managed to separate the pair before things got out of hand.
What's up? You wanna run it 2 in 1 night?
Yeah.
What's up? You wanna run it 2 in 1 night?
Absolutely.
You wanna run it 2 in 1 night?
Absolutely.
So let's make it
Absolutely.
happen.
Let's do it.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
Yes, sir.
Get the paperwork for this bum.
Get Al Haymaker.
Absolutely. I don't need Al Haymaker.
Let me call Al Haymaker.
I'm my own
Let's make it
boss.
happen.
I'm my own
2 in
boss.
1 night. Got your hat. Got your hat. Got your hat.
Even Logan was trying to hunt Floyd down, shouting words of abuse in the process. These guys may have all the talk outside of the ring, but how do you rate their talk inside of the ring? Let us know in the comments section below. And once you've done that, leave a like and punch that big, juicy subscribe button. Seriously guys, thank you. Coming in at number 8 is a guy that also loves the limelight, just like the Paul brothers. Adrian Broner is a man that regularly disrespects his opponents. The Ohio-born fighter has won 3 world titles. However, most of the attention he receives is because of that big mouth of his. Love it or loathe it, his "can man" speech seems to be his go-to attribute. Although with his often lackluster fighting, you would think that he would focus more on his footwork, but no. Broner certainly doesn't care about making any friends. He loves playing the pantomime villain, and considering the money he's already made, there's little reason for him to change. See, back in 2014, Adrian fought the Mexican light middleweight Carlos Molina. Broner won convincingly via unanimous decision, but the action didn't stop there, as I'm sure you can imagine. After the fight was over, Adrian Broner spoke into the ring with Showtime Sports' Jim Gray about how easy he felt the fight was. Ironically, Broner also told Gray that he felt his loss to Marcos Medina humbled him, but seconds later dropped his "can man" rant. We'll leave the details out of this video, but for anyone that does want to find out what was said, expect some not-so-respectful language. What is your problem, Adrian? Jeez! So, who's going to be number 7, I hear you asking? Well, it's St. George, aka George Groves. George was on the cusp of becoming a huge star in the United Kingdom, but in the year 2013, his disrespectful attempt to get into opponent Carl Froch's head massively backfired. While you might not think that studying psychology would be the usual approach to preparing for a fight, Groves decided that psyching out his opponent beforehand would give him the edge in the ring. Blistering insults, and the promise of bullying Froch through the run-up to the fight and promising to have his opponent KO'd in the first 3 rounds were some of the bold claims made by the Brit. Groves was really making things personal.
The fact that it alienates him and he can't bear the fact that I genuinely believe I'm going to beat him and know that I'm going to beat him will never sit right with him. And I believe that's just pure arrogance, and that's just bitterness, and I don't like those sort of people.
I can't help but laugh because, well, Groves still lost, despite trying his very best to mentally destroy Carl Froch. The end result seemed far from what any of his psychology analysis would have predicted, with Froch managing to keep a cool head and neatly knocking his opponent down and out in the 8th round. At number 6, we have another Brit. With this man's triumphant return to boxing and his well-received comments on the importance of mental health, there weren't many people left who didn't have respect for Tyson Fury, unless your name is Deontay Wilder. In October of 2021, the pair met for the 3rd and final match of their trilogy, with Fury being declared victorious after a dominant 11th round stoppage. While the Gypsy King declared his respect for his opponent and praised his fighting ability, Wilder seemed to take the opposite approach by frustratingly saying, "I don't respect you."
Respect. Got me fair and square tonight, that's it. I respect because I'm a man. Don't show sport. Don't go back forth. You're what, fair and square. Listen, I've never cheated in my life. I play fair and square. He's got a bad hatred towards me, I don't know why. Well, let me tell you, he lost like a man tonight. Put me down 3 times and put him down 4. Great heavyweight fight.
Being a sore loser is never a good look, no matter who you are. But hey, perhaps he still had quite a sore head after being battered. Anyway, moving on to number 5. The well-known conflict between Amir Khan and Kell Brook took yet another turn in February of 2022, when they finally stepped into the ring and fought after 3 years of speculation. These two absolutely despise each other, mainly because of a brutal sparring session they had years ago. The press conferences that took place were so heated, we could have seen a fight break out before they had even stepped foot in the ring. Brook declared how he did not like Khan, saying he was a liar and had no chin. Perhaps he was concerned about where he would be aiming his glove if there wasn't a chin to aim at. But Khan, on the other hand, seemed to take the more diplomatic approach, stating, "He hasn't done what I've done, and he's made his name off me." Amir had previously taken to Twitter and spoke about Kell's private life, which he later deleted because he knew that he had taken things too far. That wasn't very nice of you, was it, Amir, my friend? Kell Brook ultimately had the last laugh as he strolled into a 6th round stoppage, with Amir Khan having to accept that the better man won that day. At least they hugged it out after the fight and ended their famous rivalry in a respectful way. Why are the British guys always involved in these situations, man? Because at number 4 is British heavyweight Anthony Joshua and his infamous rivalry with Jarrell Miller. Joshua and Miller developed a fierce rivalry between 2018 and 2019, but ultimately never met in the ring. During AJ's face-off with Alexander Povtkin back in 2019, Miller interrupted by standing to the side and shouting at them. Of course, Joshua refused to take this lying down, and within seconds, they then launched into a tirade of insults against one another. As you can see, Miller loves to run his mouth. He is a better talker than he is boxer. Whoops, sorry dude. Now, you may be wondering, why the fight didn't actually happen? Well, Jarrell Miller failed multiple drug tests and was therefore banned from the sport for over 2 years. Oh dear. Moving on to number 3, we have the showboating king, Prince Naseem. Prince was always a spectacle inside and outside the ring, attracting as much attention for his shameless showboating as he did his fighting. From dodging punches and dancing on the ropes in front of his bewildered opponents to being brought into the arena on a throne, Hamad loved the limelight and the attention that came with it. 2001 saw Prince take on the Mexican Marco Antonio. In an attempt to psych out his opponent, Hamad relentlessly trash-talked Barrera. He promised the Mexican that he would get the win on fight night. No matter how good you are at boxing, that is always a risky move. Using every opportunity he got, Hamad disrespected Barrera without hesitation. Karma came to bite Naseem in the backside as he gained the first loss of his professional career. I mean, after all, a 36-1 record is nothing to be ashamed of. So then, now we have number 2, which consists of 2 heavyweights that boasted some pretty good records throughout their professional careers. It's none other than David Haymaker Hay and Dr. Steelhammer Vladimir Klitschko. Klitschko, one of the most reserved professional champions boxing has ever produced, doesn't engage in trash talk. It's just not in him. The rare times that he has been forced into trading verbal fisticuffs, he's never treaded outside the territory of promising to make a foe pay for their words. David Hay went out of his way to taunt Klitschko in the lead up to their fight back in 2011, going as far as to call him a B-level champion and have a t-shirt printed which saw him standing over the Klitschko brothers with their decapitated heads in his hands. Yikes! But, of course, it was Klitschko who took his pound of flesh from Hay in the ring, winning via unanimous decision. The big Ukrainian made the Brit look downright silly, nullifying his offense completely and using his jab to pop him in the face at will. Hay remains in the news these days, as he often did while fighting, for his mouth and not his fist. Oops. Sorry, David. Now, although none of these disrespectful moments were in a specific order, there was only one moment that we had to leave till the end, because, well, it's absolutely crazy. The title for the most disrespectful moment has to go to Iron Mike Tyson. Famous for his baddest man on the planet reputation, Tyson took his later career as a chance to push the boundaries of disrespect to the highest level. Tyson was talking after his victory over Lou Savarese in 2000. Confusingly, Tyson directed his comments at the heavyweight Lennox Lewis, bizarrely going into a rant about the heavyweight's children. Disrespect from boxers seems to come in different forms, but threatening to eat your opponent's children just seems to be on a whole new level of disrespect. But hey, it's Mike Tyson, so what else do you expect? Some of these boxers have experienced traumatic events in their lifetime. Although Floyd Mayweather Jr. may not be the most liked character due to his extravagant lifestyle, what happened to him as a baby will make your heart drop. Want to find out more? Click this video right now, because these are boxers that almost died. Just click the freaking video, dude!